And so he grabbed him, drug him aside. Show me that again. How did you do that? How did you... And this is very, very important for you to kind of digest.
Okay, so this black triangle, these two long sides are the two sides of the neck. Okay? And that base, right, is where Tori's arm is going to be, or his body, his neck is going to be. On either side of that are going to be the big vein in the neck and the big artery in the neck on both sides. And then your airway is in the center. So you can see that this triangle gets narrow. And what you're trying to establish when you are doing strangles is to make this triangle even more acute, even narrower when you're doing a choke. You're compressing the airway. So how do you do that? You've got to apply some pressure from either side, which you were doing in the first form of Katha Juji. Or you make this triangle smaller. You push this part down. And what happens? I showed it to you last time. I'll show you the demo of my shoulder last time. If you, one arm, there's the other. So there's the two sides, right? If I went in and I put my hand behind their head and I push their head down, then the triangle gets smaller. Y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes. If I don't push their head down and I want the triangle to get smaller, I do a bicep curl. That's what you're trying to establish here. You're trying to either move the two side walls together and compress the airway. If you're doing a choke, if you're trying to do a strangle, you're trying to compress those blood vessels. The alternative, and some Joseph, Big Joe, for example, he's got big bicep, big forearm. Then he might not he'd be able to put in tremendous force, but that triangle might not get smaller because his own muscles might get in the way. Instead, you bring that part of the triangle down. Okay? When you're doing a choke, this is what you're targeting, is the airway. When you're doing a strangle, this is what you're targeting, the blood vessels. Now there's a little bit of controversy that goes on, and I'm still studying and researching a little bit. There's a big nerve in there too. And that nerve has the ability to slow your heart rate and reduce how much blood the heart pumps out. It's potentially that if that got stimulated, the person would pass out because their heart is not moving enough blood for them. It hasn't really been studied in judo. It's been studied in other circles, not martial arts, but in dogs and blah, blah, scuba diving and a few things. But suffice it to say that what we're trying to do is a controlled way to either do a strangle from each side or a choke on the airway. That's what you're trying to establish. So what happens often when I explain this at police judo and others, was, well, what about like when it really gets put on, like massively put on, or somebody's in a noose or something? Well, yes, you can compress all of this so much, it all happens. You get blood vessel compression on both sides, you get the airway compromised, and you probably do stimulate those nerves. But there is a threshold where it probably all starts to happen at once, and then it gets very, very confusing to figure out, was it totally just a strangle, was it totally just a choke, or was it some balance of both? Suffice it to say, what we're practicing, what we're learning here is a controlled way of doing a strangle or a choke. We're not trying to apply it so much that it's everything.
Okay. Chris,